Welcome to The Explainer. Listen, today we're going to cut through all the noise. We're talking about a trading strategy that's built on one single thing, clarity. It's a method that's all about simplifying how you see the market, and maybe even more importantly, how you make your decisions.
And this idea, it's so powerful. It comes from a trader who figured out a really crucial truth. Consistent success, it isn't found in some crazy, complex indicator. It's found in mastering the simple, basic market movements, but doing it with absolute precision.
So here's the game plan. We're going to start with a big problem that trips up so many traders. Then we'll build up from there, piece by piece, into a complete rule-based strategy that you can, actually use.
All right, first things first, let's talk about the trap. I mean, why is it that so many trading strategies, the ones just loaded with indicators and jargon, why do they so often lead to more confusion than actual profit?
I mean, have you ever felt like you're just drowning in a sea of acronyms? You hear stuff like ICT, SMC, or you're just staring at the screen totally frozen because you have all these conflicting signals. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called analysis paralysis. And here's the thing, it's not because you're missing some secret formula. It's because you have too much information.
So, what's the solution to all this complexity? Well, it's about going back to basics, back to a foundational pattern of market structure, something the market does over and over and over again. It's called the break and retest.
Okay, let me break it down. Just think of it like this. What used to be a ceiling that the price couldn't get through, well, now it has the potential to become a brand new floor. And on the flip side, what used to be a floor could become the new ceiling. It's that simple switch, that's what we're looking for. It's this little three-step dance, right? You've got the break, then the retest, and finally, the continuation. That's the core action we're watching for. It's like a visual confirmation that the balance between buyers and sellers might be shifting right at that price level.
Now, before we get all tactical and start trading this pattern day to day, we've got to zoom out. We need to see the big picture. So we're going to look for these setups on higher time frames, like the 1 hour or even the daily chart. That's how we understand what the market is really trying to do.
Okay, so pattern number one is the classic continuation. Super simple. Imagine the market is in a nice, clear uptrend. What happens? Price breaks a previous high, then it comes back down to test that same level as new support, and then boom, it continues on its way up. It's the textbook example of a healthy, ongoing trend.
Now, the second pattern is consolidation. And this one is really interesting because it's all about market indecision. When the price is just stuck, just bouncing around sideways in a range. That's the market telling you that buyers and sellers are in a total deadlock. The break and retests of that range, that's the signal. It's the market screaming, okay, the fight's over and a new trend is probably about to start.
And the third pattern, the flat top or bottom, is just a perfect picture of a battle. I mean, you can literally see the price just knocking and knocking on the same ceiling over and over again. And when it finally smashes through, that retest on the other side is so powerful. It's a clear signal that the buyers have won that war at that specific price.
All right, so we've got the big picture patterns down. Now it's time to zoom in. How do we take this high-level idea and turn it into actual, actionable trades during the day?
We're going to focus on two really important daily levels. The first is the previous day's high and low. Think of these as major boundaries for the current day's trading. The second is the opening range. That's just the high and low of the very first candle of the session. This gives us clues about the immediate early momentum. A break and retest of either one of these levels, that's a really significant event you want to pay attention to.
Okay, so you see the pattern forming. It looks good, but how do you know if it's a real, high-quality setup or if it's just a trap? This is where the rules become absolutely critical. I mean, seeing the pattern, that's just step one. Execution, that's the whole game.
And probably the most crucial rule of all, the one that's going to filter the good setups from the bad ones, it all comes down to answering one simple question. Did the break happen with something called displacement? So what is displacement? Think of it as the most important filter you have. It's all about conviction. A strong, violent, forceful break. That shows real commitment from the big players. But a weak, choppy, hesitant break, that's just uncertainty. We only want to be in the game when the market shows its hand with force. So remember this rule. Maybe write it down. No displacement, no trade. Simple as that.
Okay, let's recap. You've found your high-level pattern. Check. You've seen a break with that all-important displacement on an intraday level. Check. So now what? How do you actually, click the button and get into the trade? And this right here, this shows the fundamental trade-off that every single trader has to deal with. On one hand, you can be aggressive and use a limit order.
You're pretty much guaranteed to get into the trade, but your win rate is going to be lower. Or you can be more conservative, wait for more confirmation, and your win rate will probably go up, but you risk missing the move completely. Look, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's not about finding the best way. It's about finding the way that fits your personality.
So, we've talked about the patterns, we've talked about the levels, and we've covered the rules for entry. We've got all the pieces. But how do you turn all this information into a real profitable edge? Well, that requires one last thing, a process.
And here it is. This is your step-by-step checklist. This is what takes you from being someone who just reacts to whatever the market is doing to a trader who operates with a clear plan. You follow this process every single time, because consistency, that's going to be your greatest advantage.
Now, this is maybe the most important takeaway of all, and it comes straight from the source material. This knowledge, it's just the starting line. Watching this gives you the blueprint for sure, but it doesn't give you the skill. The skill only comes from one place, you doing the work.
So, the framework is all here. It's clear, it's simple. The next move, that's up to you. It's time to take these rules, go back to the charts, test them, prove them to yourself, and turn them into your own personal edge in the market.